Virginia is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in support of a balanced budget amendment to the United States Constitution offered by my friend from Virginia, Mr. Goodlatte. I'd like to thank Mr. Goodlatte for his leadership on this important legislation, and as a co-sponsor of this measure, I urge my colleagues to vote in favor of this balanced budget amendment. Our nation's staggering debt and reckless borrowing illustrate the urgent need to implement real institutional change in Washington. For far too long, members of both parties have routinely chosen the politically expedient course over what is in the best interest of our nation, casting aside any spending pledges or statutory caps and pushing our nation further along on a careless spending binge with devastating consequences for the people of Virginia's 5th District and all across our country. We as a nation now face a $15 trillion debt that nearly equals the size of our entire United States economy. We are running a $1.3 trillion deficit, and we are borrowing over 40 cents on every dollar we spend. This dire debt crisis not only threatens our economic recovery by stifling job creation, but it also threatens the very future of our country. Given the seriousness of our current fiscal situation and Congress's abysmal record of fiscal management, it is critical that we put institutional spending reforms in place that will force the government to live within its means, just as families, businesses, and state governments do in Virginia and across the country. By passing a balanced budget amendment, Congress will be required to spend no more than it takes in, reining in out-of-control spending once and for all. As I travel across Virginia's 5th District, I continually hear from my constituents, Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, who say that if we are serious about turning our economy around, and if we are serious about preserving this country for our children and grandchildren, we must put an immediate end to Washington's out-of-control spending. I urge my colleagues to vote in favor of this bipartisan measure so we may implement the structural framework necessary to put our nation back on a path to fiscal sustainability for the sake of future Americans. I thank the gentleman, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back.